Since 2007, one man has dared to expose the sinister power players on all sides of the phony political spectrum. Armed with over 30 years of research knowledge of the paranormal, government conspiracies, geopolitics, secret and ancient societies, the esoteric arts, and much more. One man's quest for knowledge has become a mission for the enlightenment of all people. Broadcasting from the conspiracy ground zero of Dallas, Texas, this is The Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves.
Alright, how we doing, guys? It's Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with me again for another edition of the show. Patreon.com/Reeves Mafia. I don't know why I never promote, I always forget to promote the fucking Patreon. It's not like I'm matters doing it now because this show's not going to be on YouTube and you guys will only be listening on Patreon. But, you know, I'm just trying to get in the habit of doing it. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well out there. My 20th, Jesus fucking Christ, my 20th documentary of 2025, 73rd? I think 73, yeah. Losing count. Overall is out right now. Just came out today. It's called John D., Agent of the Craft, and it's about Dr. John D. It's a subject I've been studying for decades, and so I just compiled all the things that I've been researching for years into the film and put some stuff in there that you won't find in any other film on the subject. So definitely go and get a copy of that right now. It's 68 minutes. I did an 8-bit cover of Strange Magic by ELO at the end. That was the perfect song for me, really. And don't forget to also get a copy of my other film I came out with a few days ago. Actually, you know, there's so many from this year you should get. A lot of people haven't get. There's a lot of overlooked gems last year and this year. Maybe I'll go through that later. Anyway, my Thin Lizzy documentary, Irish Kings, you should definitely get a copy of that. Even if you're just a fan of music documentaries, you should see this. It's one of the best music documentaries ever made. I really did a bang-up job on this thing. And I really want people to see it. It's so fucking good. Anyway. This is our fundraising week, and tomorrow's already Thursday. We have to raise $1,300 by Friday. Dayglow76@yahoo.com. I have PayPal. Reeves Radio, all lowercase, one word. Reeves Radio on the Cash App. Capital J Josh dash capital R Reeves dash 61 on Venmo. We also have the Global Reality 18-year anniversary fundraiser up right now. You can find it in the links for this video if you're listening on Patreon. And we have lots of great perks there, too. Bonuses you'll get for contributions, so definitely go and check those out. Some of them are like one-on-one time talking to me and stuff, so yeah. Definitely want to go and support our 18-year anniversary fundraiser, too. Just help us raise $1,300 by Friday. If that's all you can do is buy downloads, do that. But try to stay alive, both in terms of my work and my actual life itself, and not die on the street. And the only difference between that happening and not happening is you. It's really no other way around it. And listen, I can't thank those of you that do actually support my work and buy the films and make donations and stuff. I can't thank you enough. And it's definitely not possible without you. And at this point, my actual living and breathing is only possible with you. It's really the truth. So just thank you in advance, and thank you if you have contributed before, but just thank you in advance for contributing and helping, and please help us reach this by Friday, okay, guys? It's urgent. Thank you. This John D movie, it's interesting. I didn't say this in the movie because sometimes I leave things out. One of the things I try to do with my movies is I try to, as much as possible, allow you to come to your own conclusions. I don't have something, I don't never have a point I'm working backwards from trying to convince you of anything. I really just try to lay the information out, and then you can come to your own conclusions. But one of the things, and you all know this by now because I've talked about it so much in the past couple of years. I talked about it on Coast to Coast Saturday night as well. The whole thing of how I've changed my viewpoint now. I'm steadfast in that viewpoint. I don't believe aliens or something that come from other galaxies and other worlds and traverse space and all this just to come to Earth and fuck with some monkeys with sticks, which is basically what we are as humans. We're just monkeys with sticks. It's really all we are, right? So, I just don't believe that, and I don't believe that anything can make it through or back out through the Van Allen radiation belt. It's just impossible. Plus, we nuked them in '62 and made them worse. All they did was become stronger, formed a third belt, making space travel even more prohibitive than it already was. But America thought, because they beat us putting a dude in orbit around Earth, America's like, fuck this shit. One thing that ain't gonna happen is we can't make it to the moon. See, Kennedy, even when he was president, was trying to. That was really when the first moon, so even before Kennedy, but that was when they were first started, late 50s and stuff, they were really first starting to try to plan to get to the moon. But then in the late 50s, they discovered the Van Allen radiation belts. It became very apparent that, okay, we're not going to be able to make it there, but even still, America was like, well, look, let's just try this. Let's nuke them motherfuckers. We'll see what, maybe it weakens them for a period of time or something, long enough for us to get to the moon. I made a film about this last year. And the nuking of the Van Allen radiation belts. But let's nuke them. Maybe they weaken for a period of time for us to get somebody up on the moon. And then we'll beat the Russians there. Instead, what happened? They nuked them in '62 and they became stronger, forming a third belt, making space travel even more dangerous and prohibitive than it already was. That's when so after '62 was when they first started putting in the plan for the fake moon landings in '69. But, yeah, like I said, I believe what we call aliens and all these ancient civilizations that built these massive structures like the rock wall here outside Dallas and the pyramids on the inner Earth civilization. And I've talked about this in some of the films. I don't think I've been clear enough about this on some of the shows and stuff I've done. I talked about it a bit in my Anunnaki, the movie series as well. This goes for everything. I think everything is localized. Just from every time I research more and more religious stuff as well, you find it's everything we think is somewhere out there, heaven, hell, other worlds, alien worlds. It's all just right here. Everything is localized phenomenon. Oh, it's fascinating too because I talk about in this John D film. One of the things he came upon in his channelings from this entity that he was channeling was he was told of this etherical energy barrier surrounding the Earth, keeping humans trapped on Earth. And that's why I think that whatever John Dee was channeling and talking to, it wasn't some angel. I think what we call angels and demons, all that, are all as well a localized phenomenon. UFOs, aliens, alien abductions, those are all the same thing. These are not like heavenly creatures. These are like multidimensional entities that live within the earth. That's the other thing about when I talk about the inner earth so as much. I think they've got some things they've created like grays and actual physical plane beings and craft. Because that's the only way they can gather data in the physical realm. But I think the inner earth realm is mostly an immaterial spiritual realm. I don't think it's a physical realm like most people think. You know, when they think of an inner earth civilization, they think automatically like, you know, everything that's on the surface, just inside. Nah, I mean, not really. Just everything we know about interdimensional things doesn't. But other dimension. But we also know that other dimensional things that aren't in physical form can have to enter into a physical form to be able to interact with the material realm. That's kind of what souls and spirits are. We're inhabiting these meat suits in order to interact with this four-dimensional, 5 sense physical plane reality. And I think that's all UFOs and aliens and angels and demons and all that. I think that's all they are. And so what we see, you know, and what we call angels or demons, or those are just the physical manifestations of these interdimensional entities. It's fascinating because, you know, flat earthers talk a lot about the firmament and things. You know what, the firmament, it's interesting. You know what I found in my research? I mean, of course, as you probably guess, the flat earthers are full of shit. You know what, if you actually go out and read like Gnostic texts and stuff like that, it describes the firmament as what John Dee was talking about, the energy barrier. Yeah. So when I discovered that, I went, holy shit, okay, I get it now. That, I always knew, I just couldn't put my finger on all the reasons why the whole flat earth thing was disinfo. I mean, I knew it originated in Russia around 2000, well, it was around before 2015, but its resurgence originated in Russia in 2015, or right around the time Donald Trump started running for his first presidency. It was the divide and conquer thing. That's really what it was. But then I realized, okay, they're lying just about this firmament thing, because I was talking about in the last show, you know, this energy barrier and this whatever, Earth is protected by some force that they can't explain, they don't want to talk about it, so they covered up with all this other bullshit, right? Well, that's what I think the flat earthers are doing with the firmament thing. They're using that as their proof of flat earth or whatever. Really what they're doing is they're covering up this other thing they don't want us to know about and acting like they don't want us to know the earth is flat. It's just crazy. But yeah, the firmament is referred to in these ancient Gnostic texts in the same way John Dee described the etheric energy barrier surrounding the earth. I mean, can you imagine being that guy's fucking shoes? And the queen just was like, okay, cool. She didn't flinch. That's how trusted and how accurate John Dee was, both in terms of his spiritual knowledge and his able to communicate with the spirit world and stuff. And Queen Elizabeth I was so trusting of him that she didn't flinch. You know, he wrote about it in his diaries. You know, this thing told him that this energy barrier surrounds Earth. Because the question was, what he proposed, because that's the one thing the Queen wanted to know more than anything. What do we have to do to ensure the expansion of the British Empire? That was the question. And the response, unexpected to say the least, was you have to find this element called silicon and create technology that would then allow you to break free of this etheric energy barrier. You know, another film I made this year, God is AI, really, you didn't see that one, we should get it. It really kind of ties in with that idea. And when you look at the Elachian alphabet and the language and stuff, it looks almost like code, like computer code, or like weird symbols. I think we're finally starting to find out all these things are related, you know. So I don't think John Dee was talking to. He could have been talking to a program. He could have been talking to an ancient AI for all we know. But I don't think he was talking to things that are out there in heaven or down in hell. He was, you know, whatever he was speaking to was localized and has a vested interest in this barrier that surrounds the earth being broken. And so he told John Dee that's what that's what would ensure the expansion of the British Empire. But I think really whatever he was talking to really meant you guys are the only physical plane beings capable of being able to create something, and we know how to do it, to be able to break this energy barrier so that whatever is trapped within the earth can also get out. That's what I think. Absolutely. But I didn't cover that in the film because I wanted you to come to the conclusion yourself. But please go get a copy of my 20th film of the year. John Dee, Agent of the Craft. It's really, man, I'm on fire right now. Nobody else is going to give me credit. I'm going to give myself credit. I'm on fucking fire right now with these movies. I mean, if you're not buying the most current releases that I've made, it's your loss, not mine. Because really, I'm on fire right now. I'm making the best films I've ever made right now. I'm making shorter films, but I think they're better because they're shorter, because I'm not trying to, I don't know what you would call it, put filler in there to make it longer. It's all killer, no filler with my newest films, you know. I mean, they're about around an hour or hour 15 or so on average, but let's just do it. Let's go through the list of what I've already put out this year, 20 films. First one I put out this year, back in January. Gosh, it was such a long time. It seems like it was such a long time ago, doesn't it? It was only 6 months ago. Believe that? I'm already halfway through 2025. God, it feels like it just started. It's just me, probably, too. I turned 49 in July, so every day, every month, every year just flies by. Faster than it ever used to for me. So The Drone Truth was the first one I came out with this year, and that one's about the drones that we're seeing on the East Coast, New Jersey and stuff, and the real... I got information from an insider on this. I don't get that stuff, but I have a trusted source that works for... Oh, I'll just tell you, he works for Raytheon. And he overheard the high-ups at Raytheon talking about these drones, and they're freaking out. Because they're not ours, they're not the enemy, they're not aliens. Yeah. So, definitely see that one if you haven't seen my film. First film of 2025, which was called The Drone Truth. After that was Arthur C. Clarke Predicts the Future, which is a biography on Arthur C. Clarke. You know what I didn't know? Not that it matters. Wouldn't have changed the film any, but I didn't know this until after I made the film. Arthur C. Clarke was a puff. I didn't know that. He was a homo. Wow. I found that out after I made the film. Arthur C. Clarke was a dick suck? Okay. I didn't know. Mystery Fog, The Fog of War, about the mystery fog that appeared all over the world. See, I thought when I first heard about that mystery fog, I thought it was just in America, because I saw it here. And then when I started reading the film, I thought, oh shit, here's news reports of it being in India, here's news reports of it being in England. You know, it was everywhere. So yeah, I still don't know what the fuck that was. The Alaska Triangle, which is like Alaska's version of the Bermuda Triangle. The Spellcasters, Volume 6, Comedy. Badfinger, Tragic Beauty, about the band Badfinger. Our Thing, Cosa Nostra, The History of the Mafia. My long-awaited tour de force on the American Mafia. God is AI. I just mentioned a little bit. That one is a really important film. You really should definitely see that one. Really gets you thinking in ways you hadn't really thought about before. The Top 10 Conspiracy Theories of 2025 according to AI. Polybius, about the CIA created... You know, I've been lately seeing all these, just since that film came out, I've been seeing all these ads and stuff on social media. Join the lawsuit. Video game companies made them intentionally addictive to addict your child and all this stuff. And I go, y'all are barking up the wrong fucking tree, bitch. And y'all are just now raising a stink about this? Where were you 25 years ago? Y'all are just now raising a stink about, y'all just now figured out video game companies made them addictive. Who do you think the fuck they got that idea from? The CIA. They beta tested this game, Polybius, and just dropped it in random arcades throughout America, but they claimed it was only ever on the West Coast, like in Portland and stuff. But I saw it here in Dallas, Texas in 1985 in an arcade in a mall. I needed to play it. It was always occupied, but I saw it, and it was weird, and it was creepy, and it gave me weird feelings, and it had weird brain entrainment type sounds and visuals. Yeah, so if you haven't seen my Polybius film, check that one out. The Akashic Records. If you're a fan of my Emerald Tablet to Tall stuff, you'll like the Akashic Records. Red Mercury, Elixir of Mortality. Wow, that one was really underviewed. That's a really interesting one. This idea of this red mercury, which we've been told to believe is poison and will kill you, may actually be the elixir of immortality. Lunar trading. I'm telling you, that lunar trading one, it's not a joke. When I said that when I did the interview with Richard Searett and talked about it here on the show, it's not a joke. Listen, if you know anything about the stock market already, and you know what companies to buy and what companies not to buy, and what's a good investment, what isn't, and you get this lunar trading film, there is stuff in that film that will help you be able to take what you already know about buying and selling stocks and make some serious cash. I've known people who've used this technique and made millions off of it. So, hey, holler at your boy, all right? If you watch lunar trading and you make a bunch of money with the stock market based on the information you already know and the information you find in that film, come back and kick back to your boy and kick up to your boy mafia style and, kick up to the boss, right? Come back and kick up to your boy and remember where you got the info, all right? If you lose your ass, that's on you, but, the following film, that film, that run that I started with lunar trading, actually, the run I've been on since Red Mercury, Elixir of Immortality, and then lunar trading. This run of films, starting with that one, is the best run of films I think I've ever done. Fiery Furnace Stargate, which is something I've been knowing about for decades, and then I heard one of my old interviews when I put them on YouTube, and I went, oh, you know what, I forgot about that. I need to go back and make a film on that. So I did. The idea that the biblical fiery furnace was not some, literal furnace, but an actual Stargate. This is Hangar 18, which is the film I was talking about on Coast to Coast Saturday night. If I had put that, if Art Bell was still around, and I had gone on Art Bell and talked about that film, I'd be a millionaire right now, right? Yeah. That's how much George Snorri has driven that fucking show into the ground with his bullshit. But, he's 75. How much longer does he got? I'm hoping fucking Richard gets that gig and takes over as the full-time host. That would be huge for me because me and Richard are tight. Psychotronic weaponry, which is a subject that, before I researched it, most other than the stuff I knew they admitted they had used with LRAD, stuff like that, a lot of that really seemed, even for me, like tinfoil hat area type stuff. But actually, after I looked into it, it's really real and a lot more prevalent than I even thought it was. So check out the film Psychotronic Weaponry. Operation Underground Atomic Testing in UFOs. Exactly what the title says, because that was another one for me. I still hear people talk about it all the time, Joe Rogan, people, the UFOs came after we nuked Nagasaki and all this. Well, some, But really, they started coming in force after 49 when the underground atomic testing started. Do you know we were still doing that atomic testing up until 1992? Up until the Clinton era, we were still doing underground atomic nuclear testing. Yeah. It's interesting to me how a lot of UFO sightings and reports and abduction stories and stuff seem to drop off after that. You know what I mean? In the 60s, 70s, they just lost, you know, you had the Betty and Barney Hill thing, you had Travis Walton thing, you had all these famous stories, but none, you didn't really even have many of those or any of those after about 1992. Now, again, that's along the lines of what I was talking about earlier, where I don't think, you know, this idea that extraterrestrials are going to travel light years because these apes with sticks are down here splitting the atom and making nukes, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. They wouldn't give a fuck. But a civilization right here within the Earth who would be vastly affected by our activities, especially using nukes on the planet, and especially doing underground nuclear testing, would be concerned with that. And that's why you had a rash of, that's when all the UFO stuff really started up after 49. It wasn't as much. It was some. There was, not to say wasn't any. There was some. After we knew Japan in 45 and we started doing atomic testing before that. But really, the real influx of UFO sightings, if you go back and look historically, the real influx of UFO sightings have really started to happen after 49, after we started doing underground nuclear testing. So get a copy of that film as well. Secret societies of the elite. Exactly what it says it is. And I just feel like I needed that as part of my library, you know, to round out some of the stuff I've already talked about in the past. And then the two newest ones, Thin Lizzy, Irish Kings, my best music documentary, and one of the best music documentaries people ever see. Definitely the best Thin Lizzy documentary, because I've seen them all. Because I just didn't choose to tell the story the same way everybody else does. I still told the story of the band, but I focus more on the music and each album individually, which none of the Thin Lizzy albums, or none of the Thin Lizzy documentaries do. That's the most important part, is the music. Yes, they had problems, and yes, they had bad luck, and yes, they had drug addiction, and, you know, all that. But you know what else they had that's more important than all those things? They had the music. So that's what my Thin Lizzy documentary focuses on. You should really get it. I mean, I've got actual, you know, it's not a real Thin Lizzy music in it, of clips of them playing live and stuff, yeah, and interviews. You should see it. It's only like an hour. And then my newest film, which just came out today, John D., Agent of the Craft, and boy, this is another one of those films that only I could, in my decades of research, could make, you know? So, there you go. Check out the download store, get some downloads, and help us raise 1,300 by Friday, all right? Give me a second here, guys. Whatever happened to Trump's plan to inspect the gold at Fort Knox? You know, I told you about this months ago when it first came out. I go back and, you know, some of you might remember. If you're a regular listener, you'll remember. I told you right here on this show when that first came out. I was like, it's never going to happen. He can talk all day about how you know, remember what Trump was saying? We're going to film it. We're going to open it up. We're going to show the vaults. We're going to see whether the gold is there. We're going to film it. I was like, this ain't going to happen. They'll blow his fucking head off before they let that happen. Ain't no way that's going to happen. Because everybody that knows anything about anything knows that the gold hasn't been in Fort Knox for decades. And that's the other thing. That's why I think a lot of that, people ask, well, where's the gold going? You know, there was a Fort Knox amount of gold in the World Trade Centers. Supposedly it was shipped to China. That's what I heard. But where's all this gold going? See, some people would say, oh, it's going to the Anunnaki. That's where it's going. Well, even if the Anunnaki were a thing, as I said before, I don't think they're from outer space. That plant in the bureau did all that. That was made up shit. If it's gone anywhere, it's gone to the civilization within the earth, possibly. Or it's gone to whoever owns our debt. China. Anyway. A concerned and inquisitive President Donald Trump made headlines in February when he said he'd inspect the United States gold supply housed at the U.S. Bullion Depository at Fort Knox, about 90 miles west of Lexington, Kentucky. His concern? Maybe somebody stole the gold. Listen, Trump can get the fuck out of here with that. If Trump thinks somebody stole the gold, he thinks somebody stole the gold. There ain't no maybe about it. Somebody higher up than Trump said, and they brought in wheeled in a fucking 16mm projector and showed him some fucking angle of the Kennedy assassination that we've never seen or something. See this? This could happen to you. Elon Musk, Trump's former budget-cutting advisor, told Republican senators encouraged Trump to check on the gold amid unfounded claims it's missing. At a February event in Washington, Trump told Republican governors that he was nervous about the status of the Fort Knox gold. We're getting a little bit shaky. We're getting the yips on this stuff. Like, I want to find out. Trump said at a reception in Washington. We're going to have to open up the doors. I'm going to go see if the gold is there. Did anybody steal the gold in Fort Knox? I don't know. We're going to find out. And we're going to stop at a Mickey D's drive-thru on the way there, too. I'm going to get a Big Mac meal. The Herald Ledger's original story on the Fort Knox visit was February 21st. But nearly 4 months have passed since then, and there's been no bullion buzz involving Trump and Fort Knox. So did Trump or any other high-ranking official ever check on the country's gold supply? Nope. There's no indication they have. Yeah, of course not. I told you that months ago. I told you that in February. I told you it's never going to happen. Because they know full damn well it's nothing there. They ain't going to let Trump go in there with a live camera, and open it up like it's fucking Al Capone's fault. Remember that in the 80s? I remember that when I was a kid. I was probably 11 or 12. We were watching it on TV. They built it up for months. They found some vault that belonged to Al Capone, and Geraldo Rivera was going to open it up live on TV. And he did. And there wasn't jack shit in there. Y'all really thought Al Capone was just going to leave behind a vault full of shit for y'all to find? Shit, no. That motherfucker covered his tracks better than anybody. You kidding me? That's why they fucking had to finally bring him down with tax evasion. They couldn't get him any other way. Because he was careful and he was smart. And he never got caught slipping. See, for y'all to think that Al Capone would just leave behind some vault for somebody to find later, that was just ridiculous. But, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about it, about the Golden Fort Knox thing, the number one most interesting thing about it, always has been for me since I first heard about it, are the questions. Where did he go? Who has it? That's why I think Trump wasn't allowed to open it up, going there, because that's going to be the first question out of anyone's mouth. All right, where is it? Who's got it? Where'd he go? And for whatever reason, and again, we can speculate all day, did it go to the inner earth and go to the Anunnaki, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that's exactly why they don't want this question to be asked. Because answering the question will bring up a whole bunch of stuff people don't know about, and it's going to cause a bigger problem than there being no gold in Fort Knox. So, therefore, they just continue what they've been doing for decades, saying it's there and not showing any proof, and everybody just believes the lie and believes what's there, and that's it. Yeah, I haven't talked about it. We mentioned Trump. We mentioned Elon there. Yeah, apparently, I guess Elon and Trump broke up. I guess he got tired of being called a Nazi, and having his billions slip away daily from being on Team Trump. It's interesting. Listen, Elon, because I mean he's got acres and acres of Teslas that are just sitting there rotting. Start giving away Teslas to Americans. That's what you do, Elon. You want to get back in favor, you want to get your billions back. You give away 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, there's thousands of these things just sitting, acres of them just sitting rotting in fields. Yeah, brand new. Start giving these hoes away. You want to buy back some goodwill with the Americans, go ahead and do that. But, listen, I understand his standpoint on it, though. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still a businessman. And he's not a politician, so being affiliated with a politician like Trump, causing him to lose billions of dollars, you got to figure at some point you're going to go, enough is enough, and no matter what you believe, and you're going to go, look, I can't do this anymore. So I get it as far as that goes, but what I didn't know, I knew he left the Trump administration, but I didn't know that he turned on Trump. That was news to me. He's completely turned on him now. I guess he's trying to get back those liberal buyers to his Teslas. That ship is sailed, bro. You're done. As far as that goes. You're still going to sell some cars. I've ridden in a bunch of Teslas. They're nice. I mean, they're nice enough. I rode in a Cybertruck one day. I gotta be honest with you. It wasn't a truck. You know what that thing is? It's an electric El Camino. It's a car with a tail bed. That's what it is. That's all it is. Oh boy, those things are silent as fuck. Those Cybertrucks, oh man, that's gotta be I'm telling you, man. That's going to be the new Hitman truck pretty soon, once the Hitmen figure that out. Seriously, so silent. I mean, normal electric cars are quiet, but not like this. I don't know what they did with that Cybertruck to make it so quiet. It is the most quiet electric car I've ever heard. Like, literally, it can be rolling down the street toward you and you won't even hear anything. It's wild. Yeah, so I knew Elon had left the Trump administration, but I didn't know he'd turncoated on him too. He's like completely going against him now. That I wasn't aware of. Wow. And listen, again, that'll happen when you start seeing your billions go down the toilet for your political affiliations, because the liberals have really become hell-bent on bankrupting Elon since he joined up with Trump, which is just ridiculous. This whole idea of, he's not on our team anymore. I mean, liberals used to love Elon, and the Republicans hated him. Just goddamn news stories. I don't even work half the fucking time. Give me a second. God damn it. So anyway, I guess Elon's going under Trump now on his spending bill and all this stuff. Yeah, it's really interesting, the change he's had. Here's my thing, and it's like, yeah, listen, just shut the fuck up and let the guy be president for 4 years, all right? He just got inaugurated in January. Y'all put up with fucking asleep at the wheel Biden, weekend at Bernie's. The guy tried to walk up steps that weren't there. I mean, listen, if we tolerated that motherfucker for 4 goddamn years, y'all can fucking, tolerate the fucking orange guy. No president ever does a good job. Have y'all not figured that out yet? People that bitch about Trump, bitch about Biden, bitch about whoever. Have y'all not figured it out? Have y'all not been paying attention? Where have you been your whole life? Have you not figured out yet that it's not the president's job to do a good job? It's his job to be a weapon salesman for the military-industrial complex, or a drug salesman for the medical-industrial complex, or a shill for Israel. You know, listen, I mean, get the fuck out of here with this criticizing every single president. They're not there to do a good job. They're not there to serve the interest of the people. You may believe that because you got brainwashed in social studies in the 6th grade to believe that's the case, but it's not the case. It doesn't matter who it is. Obama, Biden, Trump, Bush, doesn't matter. Presidents are not there to do a good job that serves the interests of the people. They're there to serve the interests of the people who have the money and control the world. That's it. Number 1 and number 2 on that list are the British Empire and Israel. And, of course, the Israel thing connects to the British Empire because the phony state of Israel was set up by the Rothschild family for the expansion of the British Empire. That's it. So when everybody always asks why America is so in bed with Israel, it's because America is so in bed and controlled still by England, and yet we believe that we're not. We fought for our independence against them. It's a lie. I made a film about it last year, The Queen's Bedroom. Yeah, it's bullshit. Everything is about the expansion of the British Empire. Always has been, always will be. And the United States is used as the military is used as the muscle to make sure that stays in place. All right? All right, guys, that's it for me. Listen, we got to reach 1,300 by Friday, and I still got to eat. So buy downloads. Hit up the 18-year anniversary fundraiser. Check out the perks. Make a contribution. Just help us raise that by Friday, so me and my work both don't die. All right? I love you guys. See you next time. Take care.